Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Helena,
And I'm Kelly.
and we are Speaker Insight, where we help speakers, authors, and coaches to build a portfolio business on your terms. Now, we're the founders of the Facebook group, the Connection Hub, where over 10,000 members are sharing speaking opportunities. They connect with professionals like speaker agents, publishers, web designers, and generally support each other to build their businesses.
And most of you will join us every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, like today, and where we go live. And we have done for about 3 years now, consistently on every Tuesday.
Yeah.
But we'd like to know if you're watching us on the replay, because many of us join us live and many of you watch us on the replay. So put a hashtag replay in the comments if you're watching us after 1 p.m. today. But also, this is where we want to learn a little bit more about you. So type in the comments, where are you watching this from? A county in the UK or a country across the world? We want to know where our listeners and our viewers are watching from. And we want to
Sure.
encourage you to ask any questions throughout the whole of this live. Put any comments, any questions, even if you are watching on the replay.
Yeah. And the big thing really is that we always kick this off because we do like to give you an opportunity just to share what's new and exciting in your business. We call it what's the buzz in your business. And we really encourage you to share that from a perspective of what's actually happening that allows you to talk about your business in a way that you're excited about, but that other people would understand what's going on. So tell us in the comments what's happening, what's the buzz.
So I know that we've got some people watching. Hi, Joe. So tell us where
Yeah.
you're coming to, what your buzz is. I know Joe's got a lot of buzz going on in her business at the moment. Our buzz is last week we ran in our membership group, which Joe's part of, Changemaker Central. We ran our first marketing B2B clinic, which I know Joe was actually a part of as well. Joe, the spotlight's on you today. But that was really good. We ran out with our partner, Charlie Wyman from Curious B2B Marketing. And it was a real eye opener. I'm not a massive LinkedIn person, right? I know I'm on there, but I hardly use it. And Charlie's been prodding me to use it for years. But it was a really good session on learning how to design your LinkedIn network and who you need to have in your array of connections on there. It was really insightful. So that's another new feature that we've launched recently in our membership site, which seems to be going down quite well.
It does. It really does. And we've really enjoyed, sort of playing with all of this. So we're gonna dive into today's topic because we obviously want to ensure that you are choosing your coaches wisely, because as coaches, we all should have coaches. So first of all, we want to actually make sure that if you are a coach and speaker and author, or somewhere in there, tell us if you currently have a coach and for what area of your life or business. Some of you may well say, I don't just have one, I've got two or three sort of in there. And we want to know about that. So tell us in the comments whether you're live with us here or whether you are indeed kind of watching us on the replay. Because sometimes even you saying that might be a jog for someone to go, I've actually needed one of those types of coaches or mentors or whatever it is. We'll keep on doing this over a little while, and Joe's just saying the session with Charlie was great and very insightful. So that's really good, because here's the thing: we all need support and guidance when we are growing, scaling, or even just maintaining the business. We all have to have some kind of steer or outside perspective that allows us to really kind of move ourselves forward. Because whoever heard, sort of really what we're saying is particularly if you're a coach, but also if you're a speaker author blend, which is what we talk about around the portfolio element, we really are sort of saying, whoever heard of trusting a coach that doesn't have a coach? You should be prepared as a coach for the question of who coaches you.
Coach
You
is
should,
you.
it's like, because why wouldn't you have a coach? Why wouldn't you actually, if you understand the value of it and you providing that value, you should absolutely have one. So there are some core areas that you need to think about. And it's interesting, we got to this topic because I, particularly wearing my coaching hat, have actually had this question come at me about 4 times in the last couple of weeks around, well, how do I choose a good coach? And I was like, All right, let me help you out with that. Sort of like obviously in a you're not thinking about changing me kind of way, but that it was actually coming up in the get unstuck calls that we've actually been having. We've been having all sorts of things. So I've just had this conversation over and over. So I said to Kelly, let's actually talk about this. So what it really comes down to is three core areas that you need to start thinking about. And for those of you who know us very well, I am of course going to invite you to do one of the trainings that we have in there. It was one of the very early ones. It's called the Four Intentions, because it really is about you thinking about, why do I want to coach in the first place? Jacqueline's actually just saying, so I'll come on to the three areas, but Jacqueline's just highlighting this. She's saying, afternoon, ladies. I've had a coach for several years. Started with a business coach. She introduced me to the life coach who specializes in energy and the law of attraction. And that was a game changer for me. Have also had a writing coach too. And of course, sort of you are part of our Changemaker Central membership too. So
We're
that
your
really
coaches
works.
too.
Exactly. So it's like, and there it is. So here's the thing. The three core areas that you really need to think about in terms of choosing a coach are, what is the need that you actually have? And then I'm going to turn it into this, which is, who or what has the need? Now, what do I mean by that? I actively mean that there's you, and there's your business. And you serve your business and the business serves you. So is it you that needs the coaching, or is it the business that needs the coaching? Because the business is an entity. God bless you. The business is an entity that actively requires some coaching too. So if you start thinking of your business as another entity as you are, it might actually help you think about how that works. Then once you've decided what the need is and what, who or what needs it, because it might also be someone in your team, if you have an outsourced team that actually needs the coaching, you then need to think about, well, what kind of coach is required and what format does that happen in? So do you prefer, if it is you, do you prefer a one-to-one relationship, or do you actually prefer a group situation? So what we're going to do is we're going to address some of those things in this training, and we're then going to give you a very handy kind of list of the sorts of questions that you should be asking at two different levels, coming at it from two perspectives. One, what questions do you need to ask yourself? And then that helps you make a decision. Yes, I need a coach and I need it in this area. And then the second question is, what questions should you ask the coach so that you actually work out whether they're the right one for you? So we're going to get practical on you towards the end of this.
Nothing worse than getting the wrong coach, Jo says. Yes, I think we've all been there and done that.
Hell yes.
And it can be quite costly and time consuming as well. So it's really good to put the work in beforehand. And sometimes it's not the coach's fault. Sometimes it's the fact that you didn't know what you needed, and therefore you made that bum deal. So the other question that we get asked a lot is actually, what's the difference between a coach and a mentor? So I want to just highlight that a little bit, because we might do another one on mentorship, but this one is specifically on coaching.
Yeah.
So when you're looking around a mentor is normally somebody that will come with some sort of industry knowledge of the area that you want to go into. So they normally come with their little black book of contacts. They come with their industry insights. The relationship is normally a lot more less formal in that type of side of things, because actually when you sit down and you meet with them, it's actually more of a chat than a structured agenda, what we're going to do in this session. And they're basically there to guide you and show you the ropes and hold your hand. And normally with mentors, you have a much longer relationship with them, because they're there for you, seeing you through all the various different stages of whatever you're going through, normally in that sort of business context, which is different to a coach. So a coach actually doesn't have to have direct experience in the area that you're wanting coaching on. So, the fact that you might be a sports coach, but you might need a sports coach, but they might not ever have played sport in their life and know how to hit a baseball, but they understand the psychology behind that, and that's what they're working you through. So with a coaching relationship, they are normally sharing and helping you in a very structured way with their own specific methodologies and procedures that they're going to help you to achieve the desired result that you want. And that means that they're normally the ones that take the control of what's going to go on in this meeting and the agenda, the outcomes, the milestones. And it's actually a much more structured relationship than a mentor. So again, I'm not saying there's a right one or a wrong one, but this all helps you understand what is it that you're looking for right now, whether it's you or the business. what do you need, and also for you to understand the different types of coaching relationships that are out there.
Yeah, for sure. So let's address that first thing, which is what is the need for the coaching? Something somewhere has flagged it for you that says, and we're not just saying, oh, I haven't got a coach, so go get one. We're actually saying, okay, have a purpose for the coaching relationship, whether it is this or not. And you can read out Sebastian's thing in a second. So here's the thing: you know that you need something to either help you or the business progress, but first off, before you jump into it needs to be a coach or a mentor, just double check. Is it actually coaching that you need? Or do you need an outsourced element? Is it something that you're doing in the business that the business requires that could actually be given to somebody else? Is it something that you need to do or something that somebody else needs to do? Or it might even be that your team, or if it's just you, it might actually just be some training that you need that allows you to do that thing rather than some coaching and some drawing out. So be aware that we've actually, sort of that it might not be coaching, it might simply be somebody else doing it, or you learning how to do it in a way that actively works. And coaching and training is different. You might have some coaches that have a training element to it, and that might also be part of the program. So again, we're raising all that. Go for it.
Looking at, somebody just put a post up in the Connection Hub earlier this morning saying, I want to learn, I want to learn how to do YouTube and SEO.
That's right.
I don't want to do it. So actually they want to learn it a little bit, but then they want the coach to actually be the implementer or the outsourcer as well. So again, this is where you're learning about how much do you want to learn, or whether you just want to be a complete outsourcer. And we've got some training we'll give you on that a little bit later as well, if it is an outsourcing you need.
Yeah. And the key thing there is that's exactly why we're inviting you to take a step back and really think about it before you're doing something. There is everything right about you learning something in order to know that somebody else is doing it well, sort of like, because, hey, you with a team, whether it's internal or external, it's still a case of you delegate, but you don't abdicate. And so knowing a little bit about it is a good thing. But don't get me started on that. Let me come back to where we're at, because I'll get on my soapbox with that. I will. So as I said, there's you and your business, and coaching really helps to serve you and your business progress. And there is some kind of change that is desired, and a coach will bring that change about. So first off, you need to decide, if it is for you, then it might be around, is it mindset, or is it motivation? Is it accountability? Is it performance enhancement? What is it in you that needs to shift, change, or up level in some way? If it's for the business, it might be a more specific, you might actually start thinking about it more in a specific area or element of the business. Is it around the area of marketing? Maybe it's sales that you actually need coaching on. Maybe you're not great at doing your discovery calls yet. You might actually need to up level in some way and get coached around that. So with the business, or the business might actually need to get coached around that whole element of how to run it more efficiently around the operations. So think about it. Is it for you, or is it for the business? And then what's the specific piece that actually might be the key to unlocking that next level that you're going for? The second piece, go on.
Just in case it goes up, Sebastian's comment is a real good demonstration of this, because
Beautiful.
You seem to have coaches in loads of different areas. So you have an intentional growth coach, a contract-free living coach, a mental wellness coach, and I love to share professionals like us and with the team and clients. And I love the fact that their family and pets are coaches and mentors too, each in their own way. I think that's brilliant. Living and creating the life of intentional influence. Loving this conversation. Yeah, you're great.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sebastian. That's it. And it's absolutely a key to sort of start really looking at everything around me is coaching me, and specifically, we might still take some people on. So there's that element of who needs it, and what kind do I need? Here's a question that's really going to help you with this. So the change that you desire is really twofold. So is it required? Ask yourself, is this change required? I.e., can you move on without it? or is it desired? Is it required or desired is really what I'm offering to you here. I.e., if it's desired, well, I'd like it, but I could potentially continue doing the business or doing what I'm doing. Nothing's going to fall apart if I don't have it, because some of that is around the urgency that you have for a particular person. So acknowledging, is it required or desired by the business, and or you, will definitely help you establish how urgently you need the
Yeah.
support and help that you're doing. That doesn't mean to say that you can then go impulsing if it's required. You still need to do this due diligence, which is why we're doing this training.
And so many people are saying the right coach is so important. So I think it's all, this is a, I'm going to get Helena to share an image actually now, because
Sure.
this is quite good to understand what type of coaching you're looking for and actually what level of responsibility you want that coach to take on. So if you can see these, this diagram here, the axes along the left-hand side of the screen is that the level of responsibility for client growth, and then the bottom axis is the level of responsibility for client results.
Yeah.
So this is actually showing actually what you're wanting from a coach. If you're looking through all the various different areas of these are the types of coaches that you could take on board with you, whether they're from counseling for the hands-on expert that Helena was just talking about, whether you're somebody there that is facilitating it and, you know, they're supporting you to do the work with you, but actually you're taking a lot more responsibility on, rather than somebody who is actually just going, I'm just going to observe you. I'm going to be there to go, show me how you're doing it at the moment, and I'll give you some reflection back about what I hear and see about your practice and give you some information on how to improve it. But actually the coach's responsibility there is much less and much more on you. So you've got counselors, coaches, partners, facilitators, teachers, modelers, observers, technical advisors, which I know people love in the hub because actually tech is probably where most people get stuck. And actually the technical advisor is where you just need them to unlock that bit of information for you, give you the checklists, the guidelines, and then you're off and away, and you don't need that accountability or ongoing support, or those hands-on experts that will do it for you, or they'll tell you what to do if you're going to outsource it to somebody else. So I really want you to grab a screenshot of that, or just go back to it and really look and go, where am I drawn to of the level of responsibility, whether I want that for growth or for outcomes, for results, which is going back to why you want the coaching. And how much do you need from, I want to be pushed, I want to be supported, I want to be pulled. Which style of coaching is the one that you actually are drawn to, that you feel that you need, that's going to get the best results for you?
That's exactly it. And so that whole kind of highlight there. So I think a lot of you love it. So you know, sort of when I was doing the researching, I was like, I know that there are some great infographics out there. So I got this one from the Agile Sphere blog. You can go and have a look at that. You know, sort of like, because we like to give credit where credit's due, because that's always important. But Kelly's absolutely right. You know, sort of like, so she just mentioned there the style of coaching you need. So you've decided what the need is. You've decided that you do need a coach. You've decided even kind of what type it might be, or it might be a combination. So I will say that about that diagram. You as a coach, it's highly likely, the more you've been a coach, it's highly likely that you actually play in certain of those areas. And you might have 4 of those covered and use your style differently depending on the programs that you're actually working with and or the people that you're working with. But there's a responsibility when you're choosing a coach around you knowing yourself well. And so hopefully as a coach, you have a level of self-awareness that allows you to really kind of step this up as well, because that's going to have an impact on the relationship that you develop. And remember, a coaching relationship really is that. It is 2 people having a chemistry together that actively, you know, sort of understand each other well enough to support them to get to that result or the return on investment that somebody's looking for. So who you are affects the kind of coach or style that you're choosing. So your personality, your behavior, and your results all play their part in who you end up choosing. So you need to be really quite self-aware around, what do I need and what what is it about this situation that I'm not actually doing? So think about what's most going to serve you. And so this might even be, and so this is what I'm going to highlight. This might be very different in different contexts and areas. There might be areas in which you are rebellious and sort of so you, for example, might have a mindset coach, like Sebastian said. You might have someone that really helps you to be more expansive and creative in your thinking, and that allows you to connect more to, or connect the dots around things, that allows you to be really creative in the social posts that you're doing, or the thinking that you're doing, or the programs that you're actually developing, for example. So there might be that. And then you might have a coach that deals with your body, and you might be a rebel around this, and you might actually kind of need somebody that's like, a PT type of coach that might be very directive and very accountability led and very, very focused on discipline, which is entirely different from the mindset coach that you might have. But both of those together help to up level you. And really, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and just to put it into context as well, those different needs is that, if I look at the person who is my spirituality coach, he's very much in that, going back to that diagram, in that reflector side of things, where he'll actually be observing and reflecting back to me all the stuff that I'm not seeing, the 360 vision, the looking at my progress and actually, well, maybe you should look at it this way, or look into this area a little bit more, which is exactly what I need there. In comparison to if I was going to work on my body, which I know I do my now virtual training fitness, but if I had a coach around PT or fitness, I would need them to be a proper accountability coach. I don't actually need them to tell me what to do. I just need them to make me do it, because I hate exercise so much.
Me too. So outsource that.
Pushing all the way, no reflecting and going, oh no.
For me, that is absolute outsourced motivation. I'm like, I am not inspired to do this. I know that I need it. I absolutely know that I need it. I know that my body desires it even when it's in it. But seriously, getting me to do it, I just need to outsource that stuff to somebody else. You be motivated on my behalf and I will pay you. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Right.
And let's read out these couple of things, because I think Elizabeth made a good point as well. So Sebastian's saying, oh my God, yes, clarity on if you need a push, support, or guidance is golden key to finding the right guidance champion, as I collectively call coaches, mentors, and specialists.
I love that.
But Elizabeth's saying, good to recognize the difference between counseling, mentoring, and coaching, specifically because what she said there, some people blend those professionals, blend those sort of areas, and actually you need different types of insurance.
That's
you
right.
need different accreditation. You need different contracts. These are all the actual safeguarding policies. All these types of things are required. So we'll come into the questions you should be asking your coaches in a minute. But it's a really good point, Elizabeth, that actually, there are some industries where there's like life coaching, where there isn't an accredited standard that you need to adhere to, which is completely different to a psychotherapist, where there isn't a different level you need to adhere to.
and it is really interesting. Excuse me. It is really interesting around, sort of like, because I have qualifications in the counseling, and I have qualifications in the NLP stuff, and I have lots and lots. I just have lots of letters that I can use. But in terms of doing that, the insurance that I have actually covers all of those things. But I'm very clear when somebody is stepping out of one area and into another, that I actually put a line under it and go, hang on a minute, we've just stepped into somewhere else. Do you need me to refer you on to somebody else? And that's a responsibility that we have as coaches, which comes into some of the questions that we've got. But it's a really good point to make. But also one for you, when you're choosing someone, do you need someone that actually has a range of skills that might be able to actually hold space for you in this way, right? So,
but that contractual relationship is really important, because we were just talking to one of our clients the other day, actually, when she was doing like a discovery call side of things, and actually the client then started to disclose stuff, which then she had to go stop, because actually insurance wise, confidentiality wise, we need to have a contractual relationship now before you tell me this, and therefore they can go on. So it's very much about you being professional in this area. And like Helena said, I'm insured by Balance for all my holistic counseling side of things, and I'm insured by Cox from the consultancy side of things. So again, it is really important for you to understand this, but we've got training in our guide section.
I was going to say
how to be an accredited coach, and all those types of things. This is more about for how to choose a coach rather than be.
So we're going to bring ourselves back. We had this discussion when we were actually talking about this. I'm like, we're going to go all over the place here, like because this is the area that Kelly and I that drives our mission. This is the area we want to ensure that you are just providing the best possible support and help that you can actively do. And so we are just so pleased you're here and listening. So bringing it back to this. So I've been talking about what style do you need and how your personality, your behavior, and the results that you want all play their part. So have a think about, and this will help you when you're doing your 4 intentions on this as well, have a think about the spectrums that might actually kind of go. So do you prefer structure versus informality? Do you want kind of personal support or professional progression? Is that the purpose of this? Is it more about accountability or this sort of soundboarding thing? Is it so John DeMartini, who was a mentor of mine for quite some time, a couple of years, and that was a ride in my life.
He's the only person that speaks quicker than me.
Oh my God. I swear to God that 2 years of keeping myself on my toes in a big way. But one of the biggest things I took away from him around this coaching journey and around what you might actually need is the maximum growth happens at the edge of support and challenge. But in your coaching relationship, as we were just highlighting, do you need more challenging or do you need more supportive kind of element of it? That's going to help you choose a coach as well. So that blend or where they sit on that spectrum might also be one of your considerations. Do you need someone who is more connected or someone who is more directive, that just is going to tell you what to do? That's why Kelly and I actually have such a great relationship, because you get 2 for the price of 1 with us, sort of you get the connected and the directive in here. Or do you need, again, that scale that we were just talking about around the more counseling-led, coaching-led, drawing you out, or mentoring-led relationship? So these are all things that can actually kind of sit in here.
Okay. So I'm going to address Paul's question, but Paul, I don't accept personal friend requests from people that I don't know, because I'm really close to my quota. But also the reason why I like everyone's posts is because Helena and I administrate the group, and we make sure that every post is combining with our rules and adhering to it, and we like your content. So don't feel that I'm not accepting your friend requests because it's a personal thing. I just don't accept people that I don't know. But thank you for providing some great content in our group over the last few. Been much appreciated.
It is those little 1 minutes.
The other thing that we were talking about when Helena said about asking questions for you and your business, the questions you need to ask yourself, right? Before you start looking around and looking for a coach. These are the things to get clarity on before you even start asking them their questions. Just
before you do that, so I am just going to read Sebastian's.
I didn't see that.
Just because it actually highlights what you're about to sort of talk about as well. So it sets a context. So he's saying learning to outsource and delegate where you don't need to invest your body or energy is very important. To work on a business, you need to balance how much you work in the business and leave what needs to be done or led by someone else on your behalf. A team includes the people who work for you, with you, and on you. All of them are your power pillars. Don't undermine any, and don't try to work without any of them when you've reached a level where you need to have someone else add the value, structure, and processes for your growth. So I just think it sets the context for what you're actually about to say.
Yeah. And the additional challenges, the engine of change towards success, like that.
Fantastic.
You're like a walking quote book today.
Quote book. Yeah, I totally love it. It's great. It's all those podcasts he does. Right, go for it.
First of all, the thing we want to ask ourselves is, what is that outcome I'm looking for? Whether it's for you or for the business, what do you want the coach to help you be, or help you or your team be able to do, have action, right? Get real clarity around the outcome or what the topic is that you need that support with. For sure. The thing is then, when you go into detail about the outcome, it's actually really looking into what is the result that you expect from the coaching. And this is actually really important, because this is where people say, I had a bad coach. Mm-hmm. But if you're not clear on the outcome that you wanted, and then the coach doesn't deliver that, but they weren't aware that that's what you wanted from them, this is where the miscommunication happens. Yeah. And we see this a lot when people are actually looking for a social media coach or whatever, and they actually go, I asked them to do this, but I wasn't clear on the outcomes I wanted, and therefore that's why I was disappointed that I didn't get 10,000 more people in my group or whatever it might be, right? So
yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say, and a good coach should be asking you what those ROI bits are so that you actually know and understand those. But anyway, and are you laughing at Elizabeth?
I'm laughing at Elizabeth. She always gets gin in all of our comments.
Brilliant.
Challenges the engine to unscrewing the tonic for the business of gin.
Brilliant.
Anyway, so the thing is, what do you want to be able to learn? Do you want to learn how to do something new? Is that the result that you want to get from them, where you're actually empowered to learn how to do something yourself?
Yes.
Or is it the fact that you want to improve your existing results or be more efficient? We were talking about a performance coach. I think it was Sebastian that had one. So is it the fact that you want your performance to improve? That could be your sales. That could be your fitness levels. It could be any of those things that you want to improve and become more efficient on.
Yeah.
You might need somebody who is that kick up the backside. So you might need a coach who is a motivational force for you, someone that holds you accountable. Like I said, I would need if I had a fitness
to the fire.
person, that's what I would need. That's all I need them to do. It's not knowledge, it's not information, it's get the stuff done and make me feel inspired to do that. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually have a coach as a sounding board, right? Yes. And some people actually are like become NEDs and stuff when they have more of this role, where they actually are somebody who can give you expert advice in the industry because they've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But actually they're there for you to bounce ideas off of, think about projects, really think, is there any legs to this? Have you done this before? Do you have any insider knowledge that you can give me on the trends that are going on in the industry? So thinking about those types of people that you could actually just have as more of a sounding board coach.
Yeah. And what I was going to say about that is that that's really how I started in the coaching business in the first place. I am a creativity sounding board. And so people, when they're doing their workshops, when they're doing their talks, that's actively, I lend my creativity and my thinking, my inspired connect the dots piece, in fact, we both do, to people who come with an idea, but it's not fully formed yet. That's a sounding board. Like literally, we have a sounding board session available, So don't underestimate the power of you having, you don't have to have the idea fully formed. You could actually have an idea and then talk it through with a coaching relationship. So just going to say that.
And then the last one is going back to what Elizabeth's saying is actually, do you actually need more of an emotional therapeutic mindset support, which is actually might fall more into the therapist side of things and the coaching side of things, that's actually going to help you get through a turbulent time in your business or actually improve your confidence or whatever it might be. So they're the things that actually be breaking down from what does a result look like, because they can come in any of those types of shapes and guises, but get clarity on that. The other thing to assess is to know your budget. Right.
Yes.
So obviously, when you're looking at your business, is the business going to pay for this? Is this a personal thing that's going to pay for this? And also, how much money do you have available? And on top of that, is how long do you think you're going to need the support for?
Exactly.
Is this project based? Is this a long-term mentorship type of relationship? Is this just a short term where you just need to get yourself over the next quarter and learn how to do something, and then you're off and you're away? So understanding those, because it's going to be the first type of question that helps you define which coach you go for.
For sure.
Do they offer those 90-day packages? Do you have to sign up for a whole year? Is it the fact that they'll do it very bespoke in a project-based side of things? But you have to know what you want before you go to them.
Yeah, for sure. So
you also need to think about your values, because when you are clear on your values, that, believe me, filters out a lot of the coaches that are out there.
For sure.
You're going, I just wouldn't do it in that way. That doesn't. What? Oh,
Uma's just saying, just choose Helena and Kelly. It's a no-brainer.
So it's the fact that sometimes you think their ethics aren't the same as me. What they talk about, how I've seen them show up on social, just doesn't resonate with you. So know what your values are, and especially if there is something which is really crucial to you, like the fact that if they're going to be late, or if that really rattles your cage, then you need to tell the coaches up front that this is something which is a a deal breaker for me. And if you
Yeah.
cancel on me or you're late, then I'm really not going to be impressed by that.
Yeah.
So, and then it's also then being really clear on, this is going back to Helena's question about, is it required or is it desired?
Yeah.
If it's required, then what is the ROI that you're looking for to get that? And does this coach have proof and evidence that they've got that type of ROI from somebody before, right? Not that, oh, I can do that. I want proof of somebody that you've done it for, and how long did it take, and what did they invest? And that's my evidence. I'm going to shut up now. I can see lots of comments coming through, but
I know there's just a lot of love coming in for us, and so I'm feeling a little bit humble, and I'm just going to continue kind of training and teaching, and just not say anything other than thank you. But it's very gratifying nonetheless. So following on from what Kelly was just saying, so here's the thing: when you are, you are a coach yourself, or you've been in this industry, the speaker, author, coach industry, for long enough to understand that someone's going to put you in a discovery call. You both have clarity that, you have a need, they have a potential solution, but treat it like, for those of you that were working in corporates, or for those of you who were looking for jobs once upon a time before you decided to do this crazy thing called running your own business, on your terms, hopefully, that there's something there around remembering that a discovery call really is an interview. It is you interviewing them as much as them kind of having the opportunity to share with you what they might be able to do. So come prepared with the questions that you want. And so Kelly was just highlighting, what is the proof or the evidence? That is one of the things that is really valid for you to ask. Who have you worked with that's like me, or that's in my situation, and what was the result that you got for them? Go for it.
We've had a couple of people when we've coached people on our VIP days, they've gone, okay, can I speak to somebody who's done a VIP day with you before? Can you put me in touch with them so I can have a call and go, what was it like? What results you got? And that's really good to have some of your ambassadors, your, long-term clients who have agreed with you that they're okay to have that chat, and you can just informally pass them on. And that's proof, right? Rather than you saying, I can do this, that's a great thing to have in your armor.
Yeah, that whole kind of third source reference, the social proof element is so vital and important. And you can have that in the form of case studies, you can have that in the form of testimonials, but actually having a few people that you can really say, it's okay for a person to pick up the phone to those people, and being able to message them or WhatsApp them in some way and just go, hey, I've got someone who'd really love some confirmation about the work. Would you be okay with me putting you in touch with them? That's gold dust. So you want to be building that in. I'm now off on another training, but I'm going to say it anyway. You want to be building that in at the end of your coaching process with someone that you've got a great result for. You want to be asking that question around, would you mind if I used you as a referral case for people who might well ask for this? So I'm going to say that, right? So I'm going to go back to questions questions you need to ask your coach or kind of cover. So don't just be on their agenda in a discovery call. You want to have your agenda as well. So the first thing is that values fit, and it's more vital than that chemistry fit. It's a relationship. So you want to be asking the question of, hey, what's important to you? And you want to be listening for is what's important to them about, why do you really do what you do? This is why we always say, know your story and know what's going on, because that's actually probably the place where you choose or not choose the person in the first place. You're still going to want all the rest of the questions that I'm about to ask, but that first question around, the values fit that actually comes out when you say what's important to you. If they say family and give you some examples around that, and family is vital for you, the chances are that there'll be an understanding, an underlying understanding within the coaching that really supports you. So that's the first piece. As I say, that evidence and the proof, and you've hopefully gone and done your due diligence and gone, if I Google this person, what actually shows up? That's a really good thing to do before it. So you can even ask some questions about some of those things, or specifically around a particular program that they're doing. Asking them, who is your ideal client and why are they your ideal client, is a really good thing to do, because you can see just where you fit. Are they thinking of you as someone who's at the start of their journey, their user journey, or are you someone who fits towards the end of their user journey? That really helps. Go for it.
And it's really a big red flag if they go, I work with anyone.
Arg.
really understand my needs? Do you understand specifically what I need from you and my scenarios? If they just can work with only Tom, Dick, or Harry, it's a big
Yeah.
red flag.
Yeah. And then getting really specific and clear about asking this question. So, if I did this program, what results are you promising me? Like, be brave about that.
Right.
Like, and so many people feel like, I shouldn't have to say be brave about that, but for some reason people get a bit tongue tied around that, like they're with the expert. You are with an expert, but that doesn't stop you actually asking for what you want.
And remember, a coach doesn't get you the results.
Yes.
A coach facilitates your ability to get those results. So of course a coach can help you and hold you accountable, but if you're not going to do the work, but they might have some things in place in their procedures that are the things to make sure that you do the work, right?
Yeah.
So this is what gets the nitty gritty of their delivery style and their dedication to you.
And their structuring.
Going to have you as a coach, and you keep on paying another month, and you're not getting the results, and they don't care, because you're like, okay, how are you measuring that? How are you holding me accountable? How are you encouraging me to do the work?
That's exactly it. And so really there is an ownership by you to ask them these questions. You might also have some questions around the coaching contract, and can you see that coaching contract beforehand, so that you have an idea of what Kelly was just saying. If there's an expectation of, maybe they have a money back guarantee, sort of. Some people do. So on the back of that, what do I need to do the money back guarantee? What do I need to have demonstrated beforehand? Because even them saying you need to have done this, and this allows you to go, hang on a minute, actually that's really structured, and that I see how that would actually get me through it. That might be really good. That might just be what I need, for example. So,
and coaching contracts are real confidence boosters for the clients, because I've seen so many people sign up to stuff and not get the delivered results, or actually the coach goes a bit AWOL and you're like, hang on a minute, I just spent loads of money and you're not responding to my emails. You need to make sure you're protected from that coaching contractual relationship of your investment of time and money, but also that what happens when they don't turn up, when this isn't, what you're entitled to, what's the procedure.
Entirely.
It's really important.
Yeah, entirely. And so, sorry, something just flew across my lens. I just had to kind of make sure that was kind of working. That was odd. So the other thing that you might want to know is, what's their background? Get them to actively talk about their background. Who did you train with? What methodologies do you use? You have this methodology. How did you get to that? Yeah. Because you want to be hearing them. Not necessarily justify that's unfair, but you want to be hearing the passion in them for where they've come from and what understanding and expertise and experience they might be bringing to this. We did a great training on how to call yourself an expert, and so for some people it might not be about those qualifications, but it might be about what qualifies you to support me in this way. And they need to be able to stump up either with the expertise, the qualifications, or the experience, or a combination of all of those. But again, you want to go with your gut, as Elizabeth just said sort of earlier. You want to be hearing their answer and going, does that work for me? And that's what you're constantly doing. So, and don't be afraid to ask this question: what makes me a good fit for your coaching? Don't be afraid to ask that question, because actually you want to hear what they say around this. Now, so for all of you who've listened to this,
because sometimes people see stuff in you that you can't see.
Exactly.
So that's another way of them actually going, well, you're here at the moment. If I looked at your business, I'd actually potentially say that you could add this and this and this, and this is what we'd coach on. So it gives you an understanding of where they could go with you.
And that's exactly what I was just going to kind of lead into, because you've got that whole in a discovery call, you still want them to be adding value to you even in that hour. Are they choosing to just use this as a sales call, or are they actually adding value to you? Could you walk away and actively have something that you can go away and work on? In the Get Unstuck calls, I'm forever going, go and do this, go and do that, and like, please, sort of think about this, etc. Because I want people to walk away, because you never know when that person's going to come back, because a discovery call may actually be the thing that shows up 6 months later. They might come back to 2 years, 7 years down the line, who knows. But here's the thing. So I want you to, having listened to all of this, these are the questions that you might ask of someone. Go back, pause right now, go back about 7 minutes or however long this bit's gone, and then go, if somebody asked me all of these questions,
As a coach.
would I be able to answer them? So go and use this as a flip-sided thing, because you need to expect to be asked some of these questions,
Yeah.
and you need to be able to be in a position to answer them.
And the other thing we want to highlight a little bit today as well is we've spoken about the difference between mentors and coaches. We've talked
Yeah.
about, what the types of coaching, using that diagram we showed earlier of what type of coach you need. But then also there is the other element that you might not need one-to-one coaching.
Yes.
Some people actually prefer group coaching. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that you might also look at as an option for you, especially as normally group coaching is cheaper. But sometimes people actually like to learn and vicariously through the other people in the group. They actually create accountability buddies actually within that group program itself. So you don't need an accountability coach. You're more of a someone that's actually guiding you to train you to do something. Holding you accountable happens in the group, but also you learn from other people.
Yeah.
And very much like, in our membership site, which I know many of you are part of, we have this week launching accountability buddies within there. And that's one of the reasons why we set Changemaker Central up, because really we're saying everyone should have a coach.
Yes.
Right? And most people will have coaches in certain areas. We just heard from Sebastian about, the mindset and the sales and the blah, blah, blah. But what most people don't really understand is that there's a business management strategic coach that really is beneficial for you to have in your pocket all the time. Because your business is always developing, new things are happening. And if you've got that person who oversees it, knows you really well, knows your product range, your strategy, and supports you in developing that sustainably on your terms, then that's the real valuable insight that you never really want to let go of that. And we realize that, which is when we set Changemaker Central up, we're like, well, it's expensive to have a coach, especially coaches. So we made it more of a group coaching scenario. You do get one-on-one time in there as well, but predominantly it's much cheaper to be part of that monthly subscription where you're sharing it, learning, all these guys that are commenting here, they're all supporting each other in that group as well as having the guidance from us. Yeah. So think about, whether a group program is also a way that might support your learning style, your budget, and also create more people that are around you that are supporting you.
Yeah, sort of what actually kind of works around affordable accountability is sort of what, that was the ethos that we've set this up behind, because every single coach should be able to have access to decent quality information. That's one of the underlying pieces for Kelly and I, right?
So I'm just Joe's saying she's never found the right person to pair you up with. So when our application goes in this week, Joe, I want you to fill it in, and we actually match you with the people with your values, the types of businesses you're in, how much that you're actually dedicating time-wise. So we really have thought about our accountability program, which you get access to this week.
For sure, which is really, really fun. And so it's ever developing. But here's the thing. Really, this whole training is about you making decisions in some way. And we said right at the very beginning of this around, this has been about choosing a coach. But if you think about it, the principles around this are around choosing an outsourcer as well, as Sebastian was sort of talking about as well. So we actually did a training. So we're going to pop the link in here for that as well, on how to choose an outsourcer. So, because actually when you're looking for a copywriter, and this happens inside the Connection Hub all the time, when you're looking for a web designer, an illustrator, etc., those are all the questions in that we get more specific and granular around the outsourcers and the questions that you might actually want to ask. So we thought you might like that in there, because you might have decided that actually for the need that you have, what do you require and desire, for the need that you currently have, it might actually not be a coach per se or a mentor. It might actually be an outsourced person in some way, or some training that you need.
But even if it is a coach, come into the Connection Hub, use the hashtag call out and say, I am looking for Instagram coach, I'm looking for a mindset coach or whatever, because we've got over 10,500 people in there and most of them are coaches. So you'll probably find a good one.
Really, truly, we're kind of inviting you to do that. So here's the thing. Through this, and hopefully through you doing a 4 intentions, thinking about these questions, you've identified, yes, I need a coach, and yes, I need a particular type of coach. So how do you find them? So we thought we'd obviously be helpful and wrap it all up and saying, right, so as Kelly said, hashtag call out for sure. Looking for referrals and recommendations absolutely a key thing. But also looking at, particularly if this is important to you and it's come up as one of those things, looking at accrediting bodies like the ICF, the International Coach Foundation, and actually looking at their directories for someone that has the specific needs that you actually the specific information that you might actually have, for example. So that's one of them, but it might also be the industry bodies that might have directories that you actually want that get specific around it. You could absolutely look for our members directory. Sort of we have a directory of many of the people that are inside the Connection Hub are actually part of our own directory. So you could look for the specific type or industry coach that you've got in there. And there are also specific platforms, and we love one of these so much, sort of Delenta.com is actually a matchmaking service, if you like, and they're heading into. So as a coach, it's a one-stop shop for you to actively be part of, but also places like the trustedcoachdirectory.com, those are places where you can look for what you want. And that gives you that scope of, okay, I'm looking for a coach. What am I specifically looking for? Because here's the key thing. You are still the person that chooses, whether it's for you or on behalf of your business. You are still the person that is doing the choosing. But you should treat this like any job that you are getting in. You should absolutely, and I don't use the should word often, but this is an investment, as somebody said earlier on, Sebastian said earlier on. It is an investment. So, do it in the same way that you would if you're leaking, if you're plumbing is leaking. Like, get 3 quotes in, take your time and really understand the needs, because here's the key thing. It has to be on your terms. So we would love to know what are your key takeaways from this? What's the golden nugget that you're going to go, that was really useful for me, and that's what I'm going to do. And so we want those in the comments, please, whether you're doing the replay or whether you're here live. Take a moment to just stop, anchor in this training, and just go, what am I taking away from this that I could go and do or do differently in my business right now?
Jo's loving Delenta. She's working with a new coach to get that set up for them right now, and I told her to join Changemaker and Connection Hub too. Yeah, definitely. I put the link in again for the Connection Hub if you're not in there, but that is the place, right? Most people will find other coaches by asking for who coached you. Yeah. Because that's that recommendation of the first-hand experience of, who's got you the results, and I want to speak to that person too. So go in there and connect. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. We'll see you next week for the next training.